Welcome to video lecture on structure analysis. In this video lecture we will learn about analysis of column, which includes buckling phenomena, Euler's formula, critical load and critical stress for column. First of all, we should know what is column. Columns are compression members which are subjected to concentric axial compressive forces. So the force should be compressive and it should be axial, means along the axis of the column. It should not be perpendicular or it should not be at any angle to the axis of the column. Stocky columns or the short columns fail by yielding of the material at the cross section, but long slender columns fail by buckling at loads for less than yielding forces. So what is this buckling and how it affects the load carrying capacity of the column, we will discuss. Buckling is the lateral deflection that occurs in column due to concentric axial load. So it is different from bending. In the case of bending, the load is applied lateral to the axis. It can be perpendicular, it can be at some other angle, but in the case of buckling, the load is applied in the axial form, which is compressive and along the axis. This is the difference between bending and buckling. You can see here some examples of column. A street light supported by a column. So this is column. The load of this street light is coming on this column, and finally the load is transferred to the foundation. If you look here at this tank, a water tank, it is supported by these columns here. So these columns are transferring the load to the foundation. So columns are important structural members. If any of these columns fail, the whole structure will collapse. In this building again, here in a industrial building, this frame, or you can say the roof, is supported by this column. Similarly here, this is a column. All these are columns. So these columns are supporting the load which is coming from the roof to the beams. So these beams which are running in this horizontal directions are supported on the column. So finally the load from the beams are coming to the columns and then going to the foundation. This is the way that load transfers from roof slab to beams, then from beams to column, and then finally to the foundation. You are familiar with this load path. Now we look at the critical load of the column, how much load this column can support. So the maximum axial load that a column can support when it is on the verge of buckling is called the critical load. That means the maximum value of the load, which is compressive load, so that the column remains straight, no buckling takes place. If buckling takes place, that column will not be useful for us, it will not be able to take any load. So just before buckling, that means the maximum load up to which the column remains straight, that will be known as buckling load or critical load. We will discuss here the type of column which we can say is ideal column, and based on that ideal column we will be able to find the behavior or the load carrying capacity of other columns. So in this ideal column, we take this as perfectly straight before loading. So there are no imperfections in that column, perfectly straight. It has both ends pin supported, both the ends. Loads are applied throughout the centroid of the cross section. So these loads are compressive and acting through the centroid of the cross section, means there is no eccentricity of the load. So there is no chance of any moment due to eccentricity. Load is perfectly at the centroid. So how it will behave in that case, as you have seen in the previous slide, when the applied load is less than critical load, the column will remain straight, and when the load reaches the value of critical load, buckling will take place. So in that case, we have to apply this differential equation, which is Euler-Bernoulli differential equation, which you have used in structural mechanics also, to find deflection. The same equation will be used, where we have EI d2v by dx2 is equal to m. V is the transverse deflection, which is perpendicular to the axis of the column, and m is the moment. Now when we rearrange these terms, we can say d2v by dx2 plus p upon ei into v is equal to 0. So this is written in this form. The value of m will be equal to p into v. If we see in this figure, this is your load p and v is this displacement. So p into v is taken as the moment. And when we solve this differential equation from your knowledge of differential equations course, we can say that v is equal to this function. And finally, with different mode shapes, we will get different situations, but when n is equal to 1, this value will be taken as the value which is critical load for the column. So the solution is P is equal to n square pi square ei over l square. When n is equal to 1, we will take this load for this case. In case there are other possibility of mode shapes for different values of n. So this will be the smallest value of the load at which buckling will start. So this is known as critical load, P critical pi square ei over l square, where l is the length of the ideal column. In this case, we have taken ideal column which was having both ends as pinned. So in that case, if we have different end conditions, then we have to consider effective length of the column. So this effective length will be calculated in terms of this constant, which we will determine from the table with different end conditions. We will see in the next slide. So here we have to use effective length of the column. E is modulus of elasticity, I is moment of inertia, I is constant. So end conditions will also play an important role in determining the critical load of the column. So K is the coefficient for effective length. When you multiply K with L, where L is the length of the column from one end to the other end. The above formula, this formula is known as Euler's formula for critical load or buckling load. Now there is another important point to be noted, that it is also important to realize that column will buckle about the weak axis. That means about the axis having least moment of inertia. So in that case, we have to find moment of inertia about both axes, about x-axis as well as about y-axis, and buckling will take place about the axis which has least moment of inertia. So that we will be discussing when we solve for the problems of critical load. Here are different end conditions for which we can take the values of K. When both ends are fixed of the column, K will be taken as 0.5, one end fixed, another end hinge or pin, it will be 0.7, both ends pinned, this is the condition for our ideal column, so it is taken as 1, K is equal to 1, and in this case, second, one end is fixed, the other one is such that the column can move in horizontal direction, this end, but the rotation is not possible, means the slope at this end will remain 0. So the column is fixed here, but its translation is possible, it can move in that direction. Here in this case, one end is fixed, and in the other case, rotation is possible. So the end is free, the end is not supported, but the rotation is also possible. So in this case the rotation is possible, but in this case the rotation is not possible. This is the difference between these two cases, case number D and case number E. The same thing, the end is free, here also the end is free, this end is fixed, this end is fixed, but the difference between these two cases is that here the rotation is not possible, but in this case rotation is possible. You can say that hinge which can move, here it is fixed support which can move. So this is the difference, movable fixed support and here movable pin support. Then this case is a case where we have pin support and this one. So these are the cases that you can easily find the value of K for different end conditions to find effective length of the column. Now in the previous equation which we got here, pi square EI over L square, which is your critical load of the column, if we substitute the values of I equal to AR square, because I is your moment of inertia, so by definition moment of inertia is AR square, where A is the area and R is radius of gyration. Then we can substitute these values here, and we also know that the relationship between stress and the load, so load upon area will be equal to stress. So we will combine these formula to get our formula for sigma CR. So we just substitute here, in place of I we substitute here AR square, here we have KL which is your effective length, so we can take A here on this side, so it will become PCR over A, and here what is remaining, pi square E R square over KL square, which can be further written as KL by R whole square. Then finally when we substitute these definitions, P upon A is equal to stress, so it is critical stress, pi square E over KL by R square, where KL is effective length and R is radius of gyration. So KL by R is known as slenderness ratio. So this way we can find the stress and critical load. Here are the steps for finding the critical load and critical stress. So first step will be to find the effective length depending on the end conditions of the column. We have seen just now in the previous slide, depending upon fixed, hinge or other conditions. Find the values of moment of inertia Ix and Iy. So about both axes you have to find moment of inertia and take least value as I minimum, so it will be minimum value of moment of inertia. The buckling takes place about the weakest principal axis of the section, so that minimum value will be considered. Third step, find the radius of gyration, which you can calculate as R minimum equal to minimum moment of inertia divided by the area of cross section and then square root. This is just from the definition of moment of inertia. I is equal to AR square. So when we rearrange the terms, we get R equal to square root of I upon A. Next step is to find slenderness ratio, which is KL by R minimum. Once we get these values, it will be easy for you to find slenderness ratio for the column. This is an important factor which you will see when you come to design of columns. Next step is to find Euler's formula for critical load. E critical pi square EI over KL square. This is same as we have seen previously. Just substitute the values which will be known to you, and then the value of critical load will be calculated easily. And next step will be to find critical stress if it is given in the question. Otherwise you will just stop if the question is to find critical load. So critical stress, you can use this formula, or you can also just based on this critical load you can calculate critical stress. So if you have got the value for critical load divided by the area of cross section like this, so critical stress will be critical load upon the area, that will give you the value. Instead of calculating this, you can directly calculate from here once you have got the value. So both will give you the same answer. Now we will see one solved example which will explain this procedure. So here we have one column. It has rectangular cross section and the base of the column is fixed and the length of the column is given as 2.2 meters. This is total length from one end to the other end. So we have, depending upon the end conditions, we will be finding the effective length. So cross section is given here 210 millimeter by 280. We have to determine the critical load and the critical stress for the column. The value of E is 70 gigapascal. Now we know this formula, pi square EI over L effective square, and you know how to find effective length. So first step is to find effective length depending upon the end conditions. If you see here, one end is fixed and the other end is fixed. In that case, we will take the coefficient of effective length as K from that table. 2 into 2.2 is equal to 4.4. This is the effective length of the column. Now we have to find about which axis the column can buckle. So we have to find the least moment of inertia, because it is rectangular section. So you know the formula for moment of inertia of rectangular section, base into height cube divided by 12. So depending upon the cross section, you can calculate moment of inertia. If it is rectangular, circular, or if it is a built-up section, you know how to find moment of inertia. You have studied in the course of statics the method to find the moment of inertia of different sections. So once we substitute these values for this base and height, now in this case, let me just come back to this section here. You have the base as 210 and the depth is 280. If you see here, 210 and 280. So we can substitute here the base and the depth, base into the depth cube divided by 12, and this value comes out to be 3.84 into 10 power 8 millimeter power 4. We substitute these values. Similarly, we can calculate moment of inertia about y-axis. In that case, it will be depth multiplied by b cube divided by 12. So this way now we can realize which value is the smaller, and in this case we get this smaller value here. When we compare moment of inertia is this 2.16. So the smaller moment of inertia will be controlling. So we will use this smaller moment of inertia here and substitute all the values in this formula. So this will give you the value of critical load as 7711 kilonewton. And now to find the critical stress, we can simply divide the critical load by the area of cross section. In this case, the area of cross section is B into D. If it is different shape, if it is built up, if it is circular or any other shape, you have to find the area of cross section for that column. So critical load divided by the area. In this case, that area will be 210 multiplied by 280 millimeter square. So we will divide the load by area and you will get this value as 131.1 megapascal. In a simple way, you can find critical stress. With this, we come to the end.